Welcome back to Not So Grand Garage. Today we're out in the shop working on this 1974 Volkswagen Beetle. It's a really clean car for its age. It's been pretty well maintained, but it laid down on the owner about a year and a half ago and had been parked since. So he brought it out to me to have me take a look at it and see what I could figure out. So I'll just dive right in and show you what I found. First, we'll give you a quick walk around. Car's been repainted, interior's been redone. It's pretty straight. Very little rust in the car. I'm a big fan of these little cars. Don't know why, but I am. But overall, really clean. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up on the color very well. It's more of a teal green and cream. Looks like it's coming through as almost like a light blue on the camera. I'm not sure why. But yeah, so when he brought it out here, it wouldn't start. And if I could get it to start, it wouldn't run very long. A minute at best, and it'd sputter out and die. Almost sounded like it was a carburetor problem. So he'd been talking about it, said it had carburetor problems for a long time. So we decided to rip the carburetor off of it and go on and replace it. So went on ahead, tried several different imports and didn't have much luck with them. So ended up getting an MP, which yes, I know it's an import as well, but that's fine. This one works much better than all the little cheapies off Amazon and everything else. So far, I've had really good luck with it. Threw that on there, and it would start, but then it started doing the same thing again. So, scratching my head a bit, as it was running, the original distributor that was in this, which was a 009 centrifugal advance only distributor, this whole cap was sitting here walking back and forth, which that distributor was fairly new. So, and then it would sputter out and die, sputter out and die. So ended up ordering a single vacuum advance, well, it's single vacuum dual advance distributor from Petronics. So it's got the electronic ignition set up in it too. And I rewired everything going up to the coil and all the leads that feed the choke and the distributor. And that solved our problem. Now it starts right up, starts super easy, runs really, really nice. And it no longer has the bog off idle like the 009 distributor had. Apparently, that is a super, super common issue when running that 009 style centrifugal advance only distributor in these motors. Under low load, or I should say high load, low RPM, taking off from a stop, things like that. They'll buck, they won't want to make power because the distributor is not gaining enough RPM to throw out the advance weights. So you're not getting any advance to make the power you need to get the car moving. That's where this vacuum advance setup comes in. These distributors have that centrifugal advance, but they also have the vacuum advance can. The vacuum advance comes in as the throttle blade just starts to open. So you're getting advance and starting to make power, which makes for a much smoother pull off idle. Also makes for much better drivability in the lower RPM range. So driving around town, things like that, it's not gonna buck, it's gonna run smooth. It's also gonna get better fuel mileage. So far, it's been great. It's been running like a top. Also had to replace the alternator. This one's got an alternator on it. Had to replace the alternator, which was kind of a pain, but I was able to do it without pulling the fan shroud and all that stuff off of it. I was able to get in from the back side of the fan shroud, with 36mm socket and get the fan nut broke loose. And yeah, beyond that, wasn't too bad. Car also came in with a brake leak. The original master cylinder had been leaking for quite some time. So that one's actually not too bad to change. You pull the driver's side front wheel and you can pretty well get to it right in there. It's under the trunk section. And then just you can't really see, but pull the carpet back. There's a couple bolts that hold the master cylinder to the floor. But yeah, it's coming along slowly but surely. But now I've got to service it out and adjust the valves on it, and it should be ready to go back to the owner for a little while. He'll be coming back for some odds and ends stuff in the future with it. But I also had to, while we were doing some stuff, had to weld up this front beam, which is super common on these. The beam supports that can run up to your shock towers, they rot out between the beams. They make kits to patch those up. As long as the beam's in good shape, you can do that, and it's much cheaper and much easier than replacing the whole beam. I think the patch panels are like 26 bucks a side, something like that, 30 bucks a side. But anyways, I think I'm rambling on a bit, so yeah, I'm gonna go on and service it out and adjust the valves on it. And yeah, the customer's got plans to run this thing all over the place this summer, so hopefully they'll be ready to go for them. Went on, fired it up, and let it warm up a little bit. Runs like a little sewing machine now. But yeah, I'll let that oil warm up a little bit more and go on and dump it out. This one does have the drain plug in the center of the tray here, so I'm gonna go on and take advantage of that. Oh yeah. Well, nice and full of gas. This hasn't been changed in a while, but yeah, we'll let that drain down and get this screen pulled, get it cleaned up, new gaskets on it, and get her filled back up. Now, in most cases, these filter screens are typically reusable. You just clean them out, use a little brake cleaner, a little solvent. Check them over while you're doing that. Make sure there's no metal or anything like that. Large chunks of anything in the screen or what have you. Because this is the only oil filter on this engine. But yeah, just take a good look. Looking for any solids. Like, got a few crusties here, but it doesn't feel like bearing material or anything like that. It feels more like carbon. So we'll probably keep an eye on that, or at least let the owner know that we need to keep an eye on it. But nothing too terrible considering. But anyways, okay, got everything cleaned up. So now I'm going to slip our new gaskets, new filters, our new filter up into place like so. Get up in there, maybe. There we go. And I've put a little bit of grease on that gasket, kind of help hold it up in place, because each of these little nuts get a little bitty copper washer on them to seal them up. So I'm gonna go on and get the washers out and get the now clean pan put back up here. Okay, got our pan put back in, snugged all these bolts up. Keep in mind, these don't have to be real tight. You'll deform this plate if you crank down on them. Now I'll go on and take this back out and put the new copper crush washer on it. And we'll snug that up. And clean up the mess a little bit here. Now, we should be good to go up top. Alrighty, got the oil topped off, ran it for a little bit, checked over for leaks. Good to go there. So, last little thing I want to do before sending this back to the customer is get rid of this nonsense right here. Now, a lot of people, I know it's super common to put a fuel filter right here between the pump and the carburetor. And in most cases, in most applications, that would be fine. But with these engines, especially with these plastic filters and the ethanol garbage fuel we've got these days, I wouldn't put it there. There's a lot of heat in these engine bays, and that plastic will break down over time. And apparently, it's a pretty common cause of engine fires in these cars and the vans, the buses. So, yeah, I'm going to be replacing all the fuel hose under the hood, and I'm going to place this filter down over the transmission. There's a soft line that runs from the fuel line that comes through the chassis, goes to a soft line, then connects to a hard line coming through the firewall. So I'm going to be replacing that soft line anyways. I'm going to put the fuel filter there. There's no heat in that area, and if the fuel filter ever cracks or anything like that, it's going to leak on the transmission. It's not going to cause a fire. So that is my last little bit of a project for this thing. So I'm going to get this driver's side tire off and start working on that. Alrighty, now while we're waiting for everything to cool back off to room temperature, we're going to go on and do this fuel filter relocation. It's kind of hard to see, but there is our soft fuel line up next to the transmission. Is this line right here, and it comes up and connects to the hard line that goes through the firewall. So what I'm gonna do is pinch this off back here so we don't lose fuel. I'm gonna cut the line up here and add our fuel filter in. Then I'm going to replace all the soft line in the engine bay. Alrighty, here is the fuel filter we'll be using. It's a Wix 33011. Just a simple plastic inline filter. Just to note the direction of flow, which should be a little arrow, right? You can see that there. And I've also got some spring clamps. Now with factory nylon braided tubing or hose, they say that it's not necessary to put clamps on them, but I'm going to anyways. So get this line cut, get the filter in place, and show you how it turns out. And there we are. I've still got the fuel line pinched off, so I'm gonna go on and replace all those all the factory rubber lines back in the engine bay before letting fuel flow. So yeah, I think that'll work out real nice. It's up out of the way. It's away from heat sources, and it's relatively easy to get to and change out. I'll be using Choline 2212 5.5 millimeter cloth braided fuel line, which is the OEM provider for the fuel hoses that came on this car. All right, got it started up. Checking for fuel leaks. Let's see if I can get the camera up in here. Everything looks good there. Figured since I had the tire off on this side anyways, I'd start over here on the valve adjustment. I'm not gonna video the whole procedure of going through and checking each one, but there's countless videos online showing how to do that. But yeah, super clean in here. Considering the mileage and the age that's on this motor, it's impressive. Okay, got this side buttoned up. Easy peasy, got everything cleaned up. I'm gonna go on and put this tire back on and get the other side done. Well, pretty well got this one buttoned up. Gonna check everything over and take it for a quick drive. Let everything warm up real good and bring it back. Check it over for leaks, but it should be ready to go back to the owner. Well, just made it back from the test drive. It's running good, driving good. There's a few little hiccups every now and then, which it's got 2-year-old gas in it, so I'm gonna send it back to the owner, let him drive it a little bit and see what happens. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this one. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. We appreciate you watching.